Hello, one and all. My name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff. Where have all the big bands gone? Let's talk about it, shall we? Hello, everyone. Fluff here, and I'm coming to you from a random hotel somewhere in the Midwest on tour. And I thought we would talk about something that's kind of interesting that I kind of think about all of the time, and that is, where have all the big bands gone? And here's what I mean by that. So I am in a band. I have a lot of friends that are in bands, bigger bands, professional touring on all sorts of levels. However, I can't help but notice there are no big bands anymore. The artists that explode out of the gate and get huge are mainly in the pop world now. For example, Billie Eilish, The Weeknd. The list goes. I'm a Post Malone. The list can go on and on and on, but those are not rock bands. And this is not about the whole is rock dead kind of thing. That's not it. But I can't help but think back to an interview that I read many, many years ago with Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie once commented, when grunge came along, they took away the rock star. They stripped all that away, and it was about going on stage with the clothes that you were wearing, not putting on a show, not having, anything decadent or excessive. And that in turn was transferred to the hip hop and rap artists of the 90s at that time, and we have never gotten it back since. And what he meant by that was basically it's okay and acceptable and even accepted to have these hip hop artists and pop stars, flying in planes and being in real fancy cars, but that is not cool for rock stars to do and for rock bands to do anymore, which was the case in, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You saw that a lot, but you didn't see that with hip hop, and it's flipped. And now you don't see huge bands like we once did. For example, Metallica. Metallica is a great example on, Kill 'Em All came out in 1983. They released 4 albums, and by 1989, I'm talking about Injustice for All, that was a 6-year span, and they were playing arenas within 6 years of releasing their first album. That is incredible growth. And now they're the biggest metal hard rock band of all time. I mean, you can't really argue that. However, every band that is on that level and playing baseball stadiums released their first album in the 80s or 90s. Now, there's a few exceptions that I can maybe think of, but I don't even know if I'd classify them as hard rock. Muse is one of them. They're almost a stadium act, or maybe they are a stadium act. I don't know. Coldplay, obviously not metal or hard rock. However, I would consider them a rock band. There's not that upper tier echelon of the Iron Maidens, the AC/DCs. We don't see bands of yesteryear like Led Zeppelin and Journey. We don't see those level of bands anymore. Why? Well, the first reason I think why is because, rock music in general and metal music in general will never be as favorable as it was in the 1980s. Again, that power has been transferred to the hip hop and pop stars of, The Weeknd, as I mentioned before, Billie Eilish, Katy Perry, all of those, Drake, all of those levels of pop and hip hop stars, Justin Bieber, those artists are so big. We will never see another rock band to ascend to that level of success, at least anytime soon. Maybe in 20 years, I don't know. However, I think social media only reinforces that. You can have big bands, of course. Avenged Sevenfold, for example, is a huge band. They're still a 20-year-old band. There's no band that has only been around for 5 or 6 years that are playing arenas that I'm aware of, like that are consistently playing arenas that are selling out 5,000 cap arenas. It doesn't happen anymore. It takes much longer to get to that point, and the development period now takes a decade or more to get to that point, and that is just wild to me. So what is the point of all this? Why am I even thinking about this kind of thing? Well, I do think the 90s grunge thing was a huge turning point, and Rob Zombie was right. Rob Zombie was totally right. You know, the Seattle scene took away the fakeness of what had been happening in the 80s with all of the hairspray and the metal and the spandex and all of that stuff, and the artificial nature of all of that rock that was coming out and in the mainstream at the time. But what happened in turn was it took all the power away from the rock bands, and it gave it to the pop and hip hop stars, and they still have it to this day, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, he's right. He's totally right. Will it ever come back? I don't know. Do I want it to come back? That'd be pretty cool. Honestly, I'm here for a, who's going to be the next Motley Crue? No one's going to be the next Motley Crue. And I don't even know if that could actually be possible with the cancel culture that exists today, of all the political correctness and all of the people that get their feelings hurt if they get disagreed with, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think that would ever come back anytime soon. There would have to be a huge cultural change for rock music to be more or less dangerous again. But it's not. It's not now. Hip hop and pop are. You got guys like The Weeknd playing the Super Bowl, having only been around for 6 or 7 years. That's crazy, and good for them. I'm a huge fan of all of those artists. However, you don't see bands doing that anymore. So anyway, food for thought. What do you think? Leave a comment down below. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.